Hello boys, welcome back to another session of video tutorials, and this session is meant for class 12th biology students, and this is meant for 16th October 2020. We are revising the chapter called molecular basis of inheritance, and in our last session we were talking about the process of translation, and we discussed about the codons of mRNA, anticodons, and how polypeptidal chain will be formed. And also we talked about the initiating codons and how the process gets terminated with terminating codon or nonsense codon. Moving ahead, today we are going to talk about regulation of gene expression, how gene expression can be controlled. So all the genes are not needed constantly. The genes needed only sometimes are called regulatory genes and are made to function only when required and remain non-functional at other times. So they are not required continuously. Such regulated genes therefore required to be switched on and switched off when a particular function is to begin or stop. So, expression of gene is the process by which the information encoded in the gene is used in the synthesis of functional gene product, that is protein, polypeptide. It can be regulated at several levels. There are two types of gene regulations. One is the positive gene regulation, another is the negative gene regulation. So, in negative gene regulation, the genes continue to express their effect till their activity is suppressed. This type of gene regulation is also called repressible regulation. And the repression is due to the product of regulatory genes. The positive gene regulation is the one in which the genes remain non-expressed unless they are induced to do it. It is therefore called inducible regulation, IR. Positive is inducible regulation. Negative is repressible regulation. Gene regulation is exerted at 4 levels. First level, transcriptional level, when primary transcript is formed. Second, processing level, when splicing and terminal additions are made. Third level, transport of mRNA out of nucleus into cytoplasm. And the fourth one is at translational level. So there are two scientists, we must be thankful to them. They are Jacob and Monod in 1961, from their study in bacterial genetics, proposed that genetic material has a number of functional units called operon. Since it is related to lactose formation, we call this as lac operon. So for the concept called lac operon, we must be thankful to two scientists, Jacob and Monod. An operon, what is an operon? An operon consists of minimum 4 types of genes. What are those? Regulator gene, okay, operator gene. So one is the regulatory gene, another is the operator gene, and the third one is promoter gene. So let me write here 4 types of genes. One is regulator gene, second one is operator gene, third one is promoter gene, fourth one is structural gene. So these are the 4 genes that are essential. So lac operon consists of regulatory gene and 3 structural genes. When we said structural genes, they are Y, Z, A, small a, okay, YZA, and gene I code for the repressor of the lac operon. The Z gene code for beta galactosidase, that is responsible for hydrolysis of disaccharide. So lactose into monomeric units, galactose and glucose. So lactose is broken down to galactose and glucose. Gene Y code for permease, which increases permeability of the cell. Gene A encode for trans-acetylase. These are the various functions that the structural genes will be held responsible. And the regulatory gene forms a biochemical for suppressing the activity of operator gene. Operator gene receives the product of regulatory gene. It allows the functioning of the operon when it is not covered by the biochemical produced by regulator gene. The functioning of operon is stopped when operator gene is covered. Promoter gene provides point of attachment to RNA polymerase required for transcription of structural genes. Structural genes transcribes mRNA for polypeptide synthesis. I think we can better understand this with the diagram here. So these are the structural genes. Lac operon, this is the whole unit is lac operon. It is in E. coli. Remember Escherichia coli, which is a bacteria present in our small intestine, is an inducible operon system which is discovered by Jacob and Monod. Lac operon has three structural genes: structural gene Z, structural gene Y, structural gene A. Z, Y, A. In the induced operon, that is inducer, the structural gene transcribe a polycistronic mRNA. So this is mRNA polycistron, which produces three enzymes. So here you can see in the transcription process, the structural gene Z produces beta galactosidase. This is the one, beta galactosidase. This is the enzyme. And galactoside permease, second one, that is Y gene. And galactosidase trans-acetylase. This is structural gene A, transcribes it. So beta galactosidase, that is Z gene, brings about hydrolysis. What is the function of this? It hydrolyzes lactose. So lactose is broken down to glucose and galactose. This is the function of beta galactosidase. And galactosidase permease, this one, which is produced by Y gene, permease. Permease is required to entry of lactose into bacterium. This lactose will be entering into the bacterium. Galactosidase trans-acetylase, produced by A gene, this one, third one, can transfer acetyl group from acetyl-CoA to beta galactoside, beta galactoside. This substance whose addition induces the synthesis of enzyme is called inducer. So what is inducer? This yellow colored one, inducer. Inducer is a chemical which attaches to repressor. As you are seeing, this is the inducer and this orange one is the repressor. You can see the repressor getting attached to the inducer. And once it gets attached to the repressor, this changes the conformation of its operator binding site. So here you can see on the top, in absence of inducer, when inducer is not there, repressor is going and placing itself here in the operator gene. So repressor binds to operator region and prevents RNA polymerase from transcribing the operon. Whereas here, when inducer sits along with the repressor cannot go and this cannot go and occupy here. This is not possible. So when it is not possible to it can't binding, then it no more remains attached to the operator. So the repressor of lac operon is a tetrameric protein. So basically repressor is a protein, tetrameric protein. It is made up of 4 subunits, each having molecular weight of 40,000. If lactose is added, the repressor is rendered inactive so that it cannot remain bound to operator gene and any synthesis of mRNA takes place. Transcription is under negative control when lac repressor is inactivated by inducer. So this is a negative control mode. When the inducer binds to the repressor, this cannot go and occupy the operator gene. Hence, the process of transcription takes place and the mRNA will produce the translation level. So mRNA gets converted into 3 enzymes and the enzymes will do the specified functions. So that's how the lactose operator system works. So lactose is the substrate for enzyme beta galactosidase and it regulates the switching on and off of the operator. That's why it is called inducer. So that's why the whole concept is called lac operon, operating of genes. So regulation of lac operon by repressor is referred as negative regulation. Operation of lac operon is also under the control of positive regulation. Both will be there as you have seen in the diagram. Next we move on, Human Genome Project, HGP. HGP is an undertaking project by 6 countries administered jointly by the National Institute of Health and Department of Energy, USA. The purpose is to acquire complete knowledge of the organization, structure and function of the human genome. It is called International Human Genome Sequencing Consortium and is aimed at finding out all the genes in each of the human chromosomes and ultimately of other organisms also, determining their function and hopefully understanding how they together form the complete organism. That is the purpose of HGP. So it is launched in 1990 to find out the complete DNA sequence of human genome using genetic engineering technique and bioinformatics to isolate and clone the DNA segment for determining the complete DNA sequence. What is the aim? What are the goals of HGP? To identify all the genes, roughly 20,000 to 25,000 expected in human DNA, determine the sequence of 3 billion chemical base pairs, nitrogen base pairs that make up human DNA, store this information in database, improve tools for data analysis, transfer related information to other sectors to address the legal, ethical and social issues that may arise due to the project. The project was coordinated by the US Department of Energy and National Institute of Health. The method involved in 2 major approaches. First, identifying all the genes that express as RNA called EST, express sequence tags. The second is the sequencing all the sets of genome that contained all the coding and non-coding sequences called sequence annotation. So these are the various goals of HGP. And what is that we have achieved so far? Salient features of human genome. The human genome contains 3164.7 million nucleotide bases. Look at this number of nucleotides. Okay, and the average gene consists of 3000 bases. That's the average, but sizes vary greatly, with the largest known human gene being dystrophin at 2.4 million bases. So the gene dystrophin, 2.4 million bases, nucleotide bases are there. Less than 2% of the genome codes for proteins, only 2%. Repeated sequence make up very large portion of the human genome. Lot of repetitions are there. Repetitive sequences are stretches of DNA sequences that are repeated many times, sometimes 100 to 1000 times. Chromosome 1 has most genes, look at that, 2968. And in males, Y chromosome has very few, only 231. Scientists have identified about 1.4 million locations where single base DNA differences, we say SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphism, occurs in humans. So these are the salient features of HGP. And moving ahead, a very important concept called DNA fingerprinting. Of course, this is very, very essential, and biology is of great help in solving the societal problems, social problems. And thanks to the DNA fingerprinting or genetic fingerprinting, it's a very quick way to compare the DNA sequence of any two individuals. It includes identifying differences in some specific region in DNA sequences called as repetitive DNA, because in this region a small stretch of DNA is repeated many times. Depending upon the base composition, length of the segment and number of repetitive units, satellite DNA is classified into many categories. There's something called polymorphism. Polymorphism in DNA sequence is the basis for genetic mapping of human genome as well as fingerprinting. The technique of fingerprinting was initially developed by Alex Jeffrey, thanks to him, great man. He used a satellite DNA as a probe, so high polymorphism was called VNTR, V for variable, N for number of, T for tandem, and R for repeats. So variable number of tandem repeats. We should say variable number of, this should be not tandem, this is tandem, TANDEM, tandem repeats, variable number of tandem repeats, that's VNTR. So what happens here? DNA extraction from the cells in high speed refrigerated centrifuge, first step. Amplification of DNA content by PCR, polymerase chain reaction. DNA fragmentation by restriction endonuclease, gel electrophoresis, double-stranded DNA split into single strand. Southern blotting technique is used, transferring the separated DNA to nylon or nitrocellulose sheet, and then nylon sheet immerses in a bath having probes or markers, this hybridization. Nylon membranes pressed on X-ray film, autoradiography it is called. Dark band develops at probe site, and probes or markers are radioactive synthetic DNA complementary to VNTR. Okay, what exactly happens here? The major steps involved in DNA fingerprinting. First and foremost, DNA is extracted from the cells. DNA can be amplified by PCR, polymerase chain reaction. Again, this is important, PCR, polymerase chain reaction. Second, DNA is cut into fragments with restriction enzymes, like restriction endonucleases, scissors, molecular scissors. Chopped DNA fragments are passed through electrophoresis. The separated fragments can be visualized by staining them with dyes. Double-stranded DNA is then split into single-strand DNA using alkaline chemicals. Separated DNA sequences are transferred from gel onto a nitrocellulose or nylon membrane. This is called Southern blotting. Again, this is important. SOUTHERN, Southern blotting, BLOTTING, Southern blotting. Okay, and the nylon sheet is then immersed in a bath where probes or markers, radioactive synthetic DNA segments of known sequence is called probe. They are added. The probe hybridizes with VNTR. X-ray film is exposed to the nylon sheet, gives dark bands at the probe sites. Thus, hybridized fragments are detected by autoradiography. So, DNA sequencing by Sanger's method. DNA fingerprinting helps in identifying true biological father. It helps in identifying a criminal who has done the criminal activity, and it can solve the problems of evolution. And of course, in the present day, it is very, very essential, and it has become very, very useful in identifying the person who is involved in rape cases, murder cases, all this. Hence, thanks to our biology, it is able to accurately catch the culprits. Hence, kudos to biology.